If you're over 60 and feeling that itch to start over, you've probably seen many of those, quote, 10 ways to make millions videos. Well, let's just call that what it is, noise. Today, I'm going to take a look at 5 common, doable side gigs, the honest pluses and minuses of each, and ultimately why I've chosen the path that I'm on. So gig number 1, this is one that I had done years ago, and it still sits in my heart as one of my favorite, and that's item flipping. Some people call it garage sale hunting. Others like to go on to places like Facebook Market and see if they can find bargains. Bottom line is, you're looking for things that you can buy at a low price and then turn around and sell it for more on Facebook Marketplace or eBay. I used to love doing that. I did it with guitars, hunting knives. I did it with a lot of different things that I would go take a look for. The pluses are you get immediate cash flow. You're in control of your time. You can go out and go to as many garage sales as you want to or as few. I even went so far learning from some pros that were doing this and making real money, going to people's homes or reaching out to them the night before their garage sale and offering to buy out the whole lot at a reduced price, of course. And I did that a couple of times. And in fact, one time I picked up a lot for about $400. And by the time I had flipped everything in it, I had made $2,300. So you can imagine if you have a place to store it, you could buy several of those and make some real money in addition to what you're doing, whether you're on retirement or you're still working. Now, there are some negatives to this too. It takes up a lot of physical space. That's number 1. Number 2, it takes a lot of physical effort. So your house can get like a warehouse, and it's not really passive because you really have to hunt. The other thing, at least for me, is that after a while, I started to feel the age creeping into the bones, and so I stopped doing it. I still believe it's a great way to make some extra money. I've just found other things that I'm going to do. Now, the thing I loved the most about it was the hunt. It was like being a detective, going out looking for deals. And I still do from time to time. But you know what? There's something else that I'm doing, and we'll talk about that one in a minute. Now, gig number 2 is another one that I have done. And if you have some expertise in writing and editing, you really can write your own ticket. This kind of a gig has really low overhead because the only thing that you need to do is have an email address and be prepared to send out lots of query letters. Yes, true, you're going to get a lot of rejections, but if you link up with somebody who's looking for a good writer or a good editor, you could make some decent money on the side. But the downside to this is that the market is really crowded and you are going to get a lot of rejections. So if you don't have really thick skin, this is probably not the best path you could take. But if you are a good writer, and if you have the skills needed to be a good editor, they're going to pay you for that job. Just remember, it could be a little lonely if you're used to being in an office, but for some, being alone is okay. If you can write a clear sentence, you're already ahead of 90% of the internet, but you can't just write. You have to solve problems. So if you're a good problem solver, you have the skills to edit and write, this is a great way to make some extra money. Just be prepared to send a lot of request letters and be prepared to get a lot of rejections. Now, gig number 3, another one that I've done, and that is to offer bookkeeping and small business services. I'm pretty good with QuickBooks, and I have done bookkeeping for small companies. It's highly recurrent. Once you get involved in their books, they can rely on you, and it's professional work. So there's some advantages if you're older because people are looking for experience. Now, the downside to this is that bookkeeping can be monotonous. If you don't like spreadsheets, you don't like entering numbers and dealing with just statistical analysis, you're going to probably hate this job. And you do put yourself out there with risk if there's an error, especially if you mess up their taxes. However, if you use your age as an asset, clients are likely to trust you. They don't want a 20-year-old managing their books. They want someone who understands how business actually works and is trustworthy. That little bit of senior wisdom ideology, and they are going to love you. But you got to go out and find the customers. That said, it pays well. So if you like numbers and you have a penchant for figuring out how to do spreadsheets and or using QuickBooks, that's a great side gig. Now, number 4 is one that we've probably all tried before, and that is doing part-time retail or seasonal work. Now, the best part about this, for example, getting a job at like Home Depot or Lowe's, working either seasonally or, maybe working in the garden department, just whatever it may be. If you have some knowledge of working in the garage, if you like to interface with customers and have people ask for help, this might be a great gig for you. The beauty of this is that there's basically zero risk. You show up, you do the work, you get paid. And it's a great way to get out of the house and to meet people. Now, the downside, of course, is that you have a boss, so now you're back on someone else's schedule. And most of the time, the pay is usually low. And for some people, it's barely enough to cover the gas to get there. Treat it for what it is. It's a social outlet. It's a place where you can interact with people, but it's not going to bring a lot of retirement income. So you got to keep that in mind. The other thing is, if your knees are like mine, standing up all day does not sound like fun. So I am past the point where I'm looking for that retail kind of gig, but it can be a great way to make money. Almost all stores are hiring part-time, so you may be able to find the job really easily. Now we come down to my favorite, the one that I've opted for, and that is YouTube content creation and working with some of the other social media sites, because you own the asset. Because the asset is you. It's the ultimate archive of your life's lessons. When you get to be our age, in their 60s, we've experienced some things and people want to hear about it. They want to get our opinions. Now, the downside to YouTube, I'm sure you've noticed that there are a lot of people out there who are posting. So the competition is extremely high. And it takes a while before you actually see even a dime. Most creators have to work 1 to 2 years before they actually see income from YouTube. Now, if you've got information people are ready to pay for, yeah, you could probably make a lot of money fast. But for the average person, there's a lot of technically frustrating and sometimes emotionally exhausting things that you have to do because you need to put yourself out there. Now, the main thing that you want to have when you do YouTube is confidence. Confidence is the reward for starting. It's not a requirement. So if you are a confident person and once you get out there and you give this a whirl, that confidence builds. My first episodes were awful. They were messy. They were just boring. But that first work, that was the content. I have figured out for myself that YouTube makes the most sense. Now, I'm 60 and I'm starting from zero. So here's the honest truth. Flipping for gas and grocery money makes sense. Freelance writing for professional brain stimulation makes sense. But my number one choice, it's YouTube. And why YouTube? Because it's the only gig that builds equity in you. You aren't just selling your time for money. You're documenting your expertise. It's the digital version of a career that never truly ends. It's how to live a good life after 60. So do me a favor, subscribe, click the like button. And most importantly, if you have any questions or want to know about these kind of ideas, post a question in the comments. I answer them all personally. So I'm Steve, and this is Big Steve Knows. See you next time.